starting soon, maybe? Alright, guys. So, we gotta get a couple things ready here real quick. Wish I had something I could put up here. Let me write a note. Drink. I hate recording in the garage. This is so stupid. Alrighty guys, how's it going? So I decided to do this as a live stream instead of a edited video, and not for any real specific reason, but I thought that in general this would look better live and would give you guys a chance to ask me some questions as I'm going to go over XTC-3D right here. And basically, this is going to show you in real time how a newbie, I guess me, is going to use this to smooth out a few test prints of PLA. Now, I've seen a number of people already review this before. Maker's Muse has done it, and he actually did a really good job. But I wanted to go over a few different scenarios in which this would be helpful, at least for me. And I'm sorry about the charging cord here, as my cheap little sign says. I'm streaming on the phone because my new camera doesn't stream, so and I'm in the garage, so I'm sweating to death in here. The AC is on in the house, but not here. So I've never opened this box yet other than pull out the instructions. I haven't mixed anything. All the stuff that came with it is still in there. So we're going to go over some things here, and I'm going to show you. To start with, I have a few test pieces. This one didn't print correctly. The layers didn't stick together for some odd reason. It did one on the bottom, and then suddenly it quit doing that. As you can tell, one side completely broke off. This is the sluice tray to my upcoming gold pocket sluice project. It'll be prepared for him in a few weeks, I think. Here's another one, same scale. I had to change it, but this one printed all the way, but it's got some zitting and things on the side here, some other layer line issues, and I have a feeling that this isn't going to hold up very well either. So he ended up becoming a test subject. We'll take a look at the largest piece, and that's this guy. This is the main box to the pocket sluice. People know this is a stupid cord. This is meant to fill with water and retain water. So what I did the other night was I put this on the kitchen counter, filled it all the way up to the top, this section and the main part here. The battery compartment and the storage piece don't get anything. And if this were watertight, then it would not leak and it would still have the same level in the morning. Well, it turns out it was empty. Thing was that it's getting in between the layers down here. These are top layers. They're considered top layers, even though they're near the bottom of the print. Don't get that confused. But these top layers, I have 4 top layers and 3 bottom layers. Well, out of 4 top layers, it still managed to seep into, past those layers and into the infill. So if you shine a light in here, you can actually see that there is still water in there. I'm going to see if I can do this. Let me grab a flashlight for you real quick. Hopefully I can do this so you guys can see this. This may be so bright it isn't going to work. And the camera doesn't really seem to want to... There, you can kind of see the specks in there. Little pixely looking type things. That is water that is still trapped inside of the infill on this thing. And that's from about 2 weeks ago, which sucks. So this is not watertight, which means as you fill it up and as you're working with it throughout the day, the water level keeps going down. I have this designed to be circular so that it always reuses all of the water that's in it. Now, of course, there's some might, splash out a little bit, but basically it should retain everything. At the moment, it's not doing that. This is a test subject. He printed the wrong size. He's 3 millimeters too short one way, and the other 2 were off as well. So he's a good test subject. I do have a final print, but I'll show you that when we get a few more subscribers. Don't worry, it's coming. So he'll be a cool subject. Here was a piece that broke off of that. Hold on. And I also have over here, I think I can show you here. Over there, I've got my laptop set up so that I can track people that are writing me as well. So I'll be able to chat with you guys on the spot. In fact, I need to turn the brightness up on this so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, so look over here. Yes, so I almost thought your name was Mel Brooks there for a second. It's getting a little late for me, and I told you I'm sweating to death in this garage. I do not like it in here. But I don't have a choice. Girlfriend's upstairs sleeping, and when I work with this XTC-3D, it does create fumes, and it says that you need to do it in a ventilated area. It's kind of like printing ABS. It's hazardous to you, so I'm just going to play it safe and be down here. So, yes, I do want to try and print a wrench at some point. I do actually have a use for a wrench that would be kind of cool to show off to my working buddies on the next job call that we go to. So that might be kind of fun, actually, especially if I can get it to work. Unfortunately, it's in PLA, and you'd be better off to print in ABS. But I don't print in ABS, but I have a friend that does. So we'll see how that works out. So basically, there's these parts. I have this guy right here, which is a part to the ANET A8 that I designed. It's missing the legs that stand it up off of the main board, and you attach a 60mm fan underneath it, which I also bought from TH3D. These things are amazingly quiet. And it basically keeps it cool, keeps the main board cool, keeps the TL smoothers cool and everything. But this one had, it printed this way. So the bottom layer ended up having some missing pieces. It didn't quite, as you can tell, fill in correctly. So we're going to see how well this works on making this look smooth. It might be interesting. I might put that on the final piece that I did end up printing. We have, excuse me, we have this module here. This is a water block, and if I can get it in the right light, it might be kind of hard. This thing is already crazy smooth, and this side is not what was down. It actually printed this way. It printed right side up, so there's no supports. And this thing is amazingly smooth. I mean, the printer just did an absolutely amazing job. I want to see how much like glass this stuff can make this look like. So this one printed in the old format. I had to change some dimensions, so this guy is no longer accurate. But I will give you guys a hint. There'd be little hints here and there every so often that this water block and this tray are going to sit like this. And then you feed the water into here through tubes. Water comes out these holes, down across riffle mat or whatever you have to set in here. And this block can always be removed and changed out to one with 3 holes, which I've also designed. Yes, they simply fit in these little notches here, like that. And I'm not going to give away too much on this stream, by the way. So I don't want to get too far off subject. I know you guys don't want to stare at me talking about nothing here. Well, I need a drink. Not a paid anything, but you can't go wrong with Pepsi. I have Monster in the fridge, but I shouldn't have that before bed. All right. We also have effing fingers. I have to choose what I say fairly carefully on this channel. But, yes, these guys. This actually printed off, this Workday PLA stuff from 3D Fuel is an amazing filament. I mean, this stuff right out of the box printed damn near perfect. Now, this is one of the first things I printed, and to be honest, I didn't even tune it. I didn't have my steps, the steps per millimeter correct. I didn't have my extruder tuned. Nothing. This is damn near printed straight out of the box, and it's amazing. In fact, look at that. They don't even touch. Yeah. Now, of course, this one piece didn't work here, and I'm not sure what happened. The inside of the thumb came off. But there was nothing to clean up. There were a couple little supports here that just kind of got out of the way with the push of a finger. But other than that, this Workday PLA is some amazing stuff. It's $50 per kilogram, by the way. It's not cheap. This stuff is from Inland, and it's $16 per kilogram. So take that into account. So, next we have Benchy. Now this is the best Benchy I've managed to print so far. I haven't printed one for about a month, but he actually came out really well. So I wanted to see how much this XTC-3D will work on something that's already really nice and has some finer details in it, like how the top here is kind of in split level pieces. It's not really smooth. I wonder if it'll make that look smooth or not. And to judge how well it'll get in between like the circle and the back. I can't really reach in the steering wheel, but you get the idea. We'll see how well this works. So, things you will need. Well, let's find out what's in the box first. Okay, we know it's a dumb cord. In fact, let's get that out of here. So, all this crap. I don't like filming in the garage. There's not much room here. All right, so we have in the box. This is part A. I'll leave this right here so you can see it. A little measuring cup. Come on. Here is part B. There you go. For those of you that are OCD and want it in the right order. It does also come with a slightly oversized popsicle stick for stirring, a foam brush. I'm not sure what width. I'm going to say about an inch and a quarter maybe. But they do recommend a foam brush, which actually makes sense. It's a whole lot easier to apply. This is my receipt. And there were instructions. I believe I have them upstairs. But basically it's 2 parts A to 1 part B into a mixing cup. Now these are nice because they have a 1 ounce marking and all the derivatives in between, which I'm going to use that as 2, 4, and 6. So fill it up to 4 with part A and up to 6 with part B, and then mix that mixture together, and that leaves me a little room at the top so I don't slosh it over the side. I also recommend popsicle sticks. Man, you can buy these things, I wouldn't even say a dime a dozen. I'd say a dime per million. I mean, these things are stupid cheap. And use these for stirring because you will not be able to reuse that stick. And also, go ahead and buy a package of foam brushes. I was guessing at the sizes, turns out it was right. These are a pack of 25, I wouldn't say random sizes, but they're not all this size. On the back they do have little felt tips, stipple brushes of various different sizes. One large one, a couple medium, I don't know, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10 1-inch ones, you know. The 25 pack, this was about $8. So, local craft store, that's very nice and handy to have. You'll definitely want those because I plan on mixing small batches at a time. These guys, if you're wondering where to get these, I'm not going to be able to post a link until after the stream is done, but on eBay, look for 30 milliliter medicine cup. And they come as a 100 pack for something like $5, maybe a little bit less. 100 pack. Okay. And it's this size. It's a 30 milliliter. It's perfect. And it does have the markings on the side. They say to use plastic, don't use glass or wax paper cups. I'm thinking it reacts with the wax a little bit or something. But anyway, this is perfect. It'll come in a 100 pack sleeve. So let's get on to slapping this stuff on here. I'm not going to have much time to work with it. It has a very quick working time. They do recommend that rather than filling it up and pulling it out of here, that you spread it out on tin foil and lay it out nice and thin so that it doesn't have as much time to, I believe it's saying it heats up and cures faster when it's thicker like this, an exothermic reaction. So unfortunately I'm not going to get into that, but I will use this. We'll just move quickly, something like a 10-minute handling time. It's not much. So let's lay out the parts that we're going to need. We're going to do this side. These two are pretty much the same, so I'm actually going to set him aside and use this one, back side of that. We'll see what we can get of this, and hopefully I'll get a little bit of benchy in there. So we're going to use the 2 pieces that came with it, and let's go ahead and mix this. So, I did have to shake up this here a little bit because it seemed to be kind of not liquidy, it almost seemed like a paste. So what we're going to do is we're going to mark up 4. We're going to go 4 drams. So basically a ½ ounce into this guy. And I'll see if I can do this on camera without bumping the camera. This is going to be interesting. So let's go ahead. Make sure I can see it. Make sure you guys can still see it. Okay. There's that. And now for 1 part B. And this should bring us up to 6. Tell you the proportions don't look right, but they measure out to be that. So, set that aside. Let's go ahead and stir this up. Yeah, it doesn't leave you much room to work with. Now they do say that you should be using gloves for this. I guess it's a little late for me to do that now. Don't do as I do, do as I say. Use gloves, be careful, be safe. Honestly, I should probably have the garage door open too, but... Okay. It looks fairly well mixed up there. I feel it getting a little thick. Okay, so we're just gonna balance that over the edge. All right, so kind of a milky substance here. Now let's go ahead and apply it. I swear that doesn't look right, but I know that it is. All right, so we're gonna start off with this guy. Just looks like clear resin to me. Now it says to put this on extremely thin. So they're saying 1/64 of an inch would be what they recommend. I don't know if this is right. And to just continue to work it back and forth, let it work in, and be gentle with it as it will self-level, as they say. So I'm going to go a little bit with the layer lines and then a little bit against it. I really hope this is the right mixture because it looked right. Just to make sure, because I swear I didn't have quite enough in there. We're going to mix this up just a tad more. Alright. Now I'm sure I could very well be doing this wrong, but we will find out, won't we? Okay. Let's apply it to the top of this piece here. Yeah, that feels pretty thick going on this one. I'm getting it awful close to my fingers, so I don't know what the repercussions of that will be, but I guess if I get it on, I'll find out, won't I? All in the name of YouTube, right? Okay, so this stuff really seems to set up, wow, actually seems to set up really, really well. Alright, so we'll set that aside. Let's grab a bit more here. Let's do the bottom layer of this sluice piece here. Like that. Yeah, I can feel it thickening up already. Like I said, it doesn't give you much time to work with it. They weren't kidding when they said it was quick. But you just continue to work it in, little by little, with a method similar to, I guess, painting a fence or painting a house. You know, it's the same idea. Yes, I will. I will have very shiny fingers. You're right. Maybe this would work really well as nail polish, right? Yeah, I don't think my girlfriend would find that amusing to even test that out. And I don't know why, but I really have the feeling I'm doing this wrong. So inside this little infill area here, I'm going to sort of do like a little stippling type deal. And hopefully that fills in. Now, it won't be able to, I don't think, take care of extremely deep pockets where it will make them invisible. It still has the shadow there because it's semi-clear. Alright, here goes the fun part. Yeah, this stuff's really setting up. I have to be quick about this. Try not to... Like, I'm trying to move, but I don't want to be all stupid about it here. Alright. Try not to put it on too thick in any one spot. Sorry if this isn't the most entertaining stream that you're planning on watching tonight. I'm sorry. But I'll tell you, I did think about doing this as an edited video, and there would have been a lot of time and effort that I would have had to put into this, and I just didn't see that as being worth it. So I figured I'd do it as a live stream and give you guys a chance to see how it goes in real time, ask some questions, that kind of thing. Wow, this stuff really does. I can already see it on some of these other parts over here setting up. This is doing an amazing job. Wow, that is really smooth. Can I still recoat it? It's really cool. Okay, I'm going to bring back this guy. Alright, so now we're going to do this inside of here. In fact, with the amount that I have, yeah, that's a little bit warm actually. Feeling the cup, it is actually sort of hot. So I poured in a little bit here. I'm just going to kind of spread it around. Push it into the corners here. Sorry, you guys really can't directly see what I'm doing here, but yeah, if you have a suggestion, maybe you know how to use this and I'm doing it wrong, you know, anything, I'm of course always open to suggestions. I'd like to make slightly better quality prints, and this would be a very cool way to do that, I think. We go up the side here a little bit. I will say, as far as fumes, I'm not really smelling anything, at least that I feel would get in my way. So I'm not feeling any different. But then again, don't take that as a sign of I'm actually okay. That's a big mistake a lot of people make. Well, I don't smell anything, so I guess I'm good. Believe me, the vapors could very easily be getting to me right now. In fact, here, as soon as I get some of this done, I'm going to open up the garage door for a minute. Okay. Hopefully I can get the rest of this. Ooh, that is warm. Ah! Dang. Ouch. That's really hot, actually. You're fine. I was going to watch the garage grow if you hadn't. Well, I'm glad I helped you somehow, right? Okay, so I really wish I could get inside of this little space a little bit better, but that's all right. Now inside of here, I'm going to end up putting it on much thicker than they recommend. It's not by choice. This stuff is setting up so fast. I don't have time to work with it, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to be running out of time here. So it's in there. There's that part. Okay, so that's going to be crazy thick. So wow, yeah. Okay, so I've got the entire bottom part here completely coated. Now I may not be doing the best job at this because it doesn't look as awesome as I think I would have liked it to. Alright, so I'm going to let that set up. And with what I have left before it gets really, really hot, I'm going to try and do benchy here without going complete overkill. So I'm actually going to recoat this guy a little bit. Sorry, this is more of an experimental video than an actual review. It's not quite what I planned. Whatever. Alright, so back to benchy. Let's go ahead and smooth them on here. Yeah, I can already tell some of the little impressions in here actually have filled in just by brushing over them with this, which is really nice. So I think this might actually work better than I thought. And I will try without getting it on my hands. And man, that stuff is hot. That's why I say to spread it out. Because, by the way, as it gets hot, it cures. And it does tell you that you can use a heat gun or something like that to speed up the curing process. Because it's thermally activated, helps speed it up, and it's getting extremely hot to the point I actually can't hold on to it in that cup, at least not comfortably. I mean, I could hold it, but I'd really rather not. I could feel the heat on the part as I put this stuff on. Okay, guess there's no great way to set this guy down. Shoot. Should have thought about that. Aha, check that out. Alright, let's bring this guy back one more time. Hopefully I've got enough of this left. We're going to go ahead and do a second coat on it. Now I think this is too early for the second coat per the directions. Oh, see this? It's already starting to I guess coagulate on the brush, which probably means my handling time is done. And it does seem to be getting a lot more like glue now. It's not as easy to spread or use. Okay, so we're going to let that sit. Actually, we're going to let all this sit. I'm going to maybe just going to find a bag to put this in. I don't want to just dump it in my trash bin. Alright, we'll use a plastic cup here. Like that. Set that off to the side. Okay. So, we're going to look at this part, as this actually looks really good so far. Now you can tell, as I did my second coat, it had already been sitting. They do say that you can apply another coat soon after. I forget what the timing is, but that's not terrible. But it will definitely need a second coat. see if I can pick this up. You can see here, it definitely makes it glossy. Here, I found a dry corner over here I can actually hold on to. And you get a little bit, you can see the layer lines up top. It's not perfect, but it certainly gives it a gloss look. If you look at the back of this hand, you can see that is much improved, very much. So it may be that I'm just not applying it correctly, which is very possible. So I'll need to work on figuring that part out. This, I didn't figure this was going to look too great, but where it was missing some line over here, actually seems to do pretty well. Seemed to have filled that in, even though it's a little bit rough. But we'll let this stuff sit. Let me see what you said over here. Right? Okay. Yeah, it's time to open the garage door, so give me a second, guys. There we go. Garage door open now. So 2 watching, all right. So, I want to have a quick peek at this guy. Let's see if I can show you this in the light. The bottom actually didn't do too bad. This side ended up being pretty horrible just because of I was running out of time and it wasn't going down as thin as I wanted it to. So good thing I'm trying this stuff on some test prints instead. But yeah, if this turns out to be watertight like I want it to be, then this could actually be really nice. It wasn't too expensive. I believe it was $25 for this 24-ounce pack. So I'm not out a whole lot, but it definitely seems to work. I'm not sure what else, really. So you can sand it. Obviously, I don't plan on doing that. Now, of course, they show on the front here that it goes from like crazy layer line looking stuff to like completely perfect. I don't think so. It looks sort of like they put some on here and then they sanded and polished and sanded and polished until they got it to look cool for the one picture for this front of the box. So it's a little misleading. But in general, it does appear to do what it says it is. I'm not quite as impressed with it, but could very well be that my technique is just wrong, or I got the mixture a little bit off, or something like that. So yeah, I'm going to stay here on the stream for a minute, and if you guys have any questions or anything, I know there's only one guy watching at the moment. Mike Brooks, not Mel Brooks. He'd have no interest in my channel whatsoever. But yeah, turns out pretty cool stuff. So, you know what? I think I am, while this stuff is curing, I'm going to go pop up to the workroom here that's got all the rest of my prints, and I'm going to give you a really quick sneak peek of my progress on the gold sluice box. I think you're going to like this. So let me go get that. I'll be right back. Alrighty, so, yeah, it does appear to be your own private viewing, doesn't it? Hey, you know what? It is what it is. I'm getting more people as subscribers now that I have stuff on 3D printing. I did eventually want to change my channel to 3D printing only, but that may not be feasible. But I really like 3D printing, and unlike some of my previous things that I've done here, this has the potential to do just about anything. I can make parts, I can be creative in any way I can imagine, but you can't really do that with a drone, you know what I mean? Like when you fly a drone, you can only do so much with it. You fly it, you get some footage, you test out the different aspects of sport mode and normal mode, and that's it. Once you've reviewed it, there's nothing more. It only does one thing. With this, it's pretty much limitless. So, let me grab a cleanup towel here. I got a drippy dew on my. I'm gonna have shiny fingers now, ain't I? Damn it! All right. Sorry, bet you gotta. That way. Aha. Okay. Ah. Don't flip on me. Come on now. Stuff gets really, really sticky. That didn't sound right. Alright, so I'm going to clean this up off of here a little bit. So I don't want this on my final piece quite yet. See if I can move this even more out of the way. Alright. So, sorry, I've got a super messy setup here. I don't like this. And this guy can go over here. I need my Pepsi. There it is. All right, so this will be, you will be the first one, unless someone else is viewing and I can't tell, to get a full sneak peek of my gold sluice, which is mostly done printing. I have a couple pieces left I need to do, but this is basically what it is. So, right here. Now I'm going to readjust the phone camera setup thingy here. This is best I can. Okay. So, this is my setup. And it has a bunch of parts to it. I guess I probably should have worked on that one. Let me find... Alright, well, I guess I'll do it the hard way. Because I do everything around here the hard way. Seriously, I swear I do everything the hard way here. Alright. Ooh. Alright. A little dust in it. Alright, so here are all of the parts for the box. Now, I will end up doing an official video on this, but for anyone that sees this in the future, Mike Brooks is technically the first person to see it. So, congratulations, man. I don't have any consolation prize for you other than you get to see it, you know what I mean? So, the idea was, if you don't remember, that this is used for panning. It's sort of like for panning for gold. So, I do have a hand panning piece here that I do use in addition to classifying, which I just use a piece of screen that I cut to a size. I just dump stuff on it, I kind of fold it up, pull all the corners together, submerge it about up to here in a bucket of water, and I shake it until all the small stuff falls in, and then I can throw away the larger leftover. So this is my form of classification. And what I did was I went on eBay and I bought a large, I think it was actually a 12 pound. says right here. So it was a 12 pound, which is 2 5s and a bonus 2 for buying the 2 5-pounds of actual pay dirt that does contain gold. Now I know that people are going to go, that doesn't contain gold, you're buying basically crap. No, I'm not. Let me show you up here in this vial. Let's see if I can get this to show. I might have to change the angle of this. Okay, you see all that? Right there? That is gold. It's not much, but it does show that hand panning does work. So this is so far all that I've found. I haven't even gone through half the bag yet. But this is with hand panning, and I did keep all of my old dirt. So even though I hand panned, I have here, I'm getting all the wires caught, and it's still wet because it's sealed in a bag, but this is the stuff that I've already been through. There may still be gold in here, we'll find out, because this is all going to get run through this guy eventually. So, no, you didn't win anything. I've thought about giveaways on the channel, and I did one giveaway for a Raspberry Pi, and it does help gain subscribers. That's part of the reason I do it. But I haven't actually come up with anything that I can literally just use as a giveaway only. Like, I don't have a maker coin or anything like that, unfortunately. I'm thinking about it. So if you have ideas for something, like if someone buys a Nintendo Switch mod, something I can include as like a free little bonus thing with it. I'm trying to think of something that would be useful or cool, like a maker coin, you know, something like that. Just a little something extra. But yes, there's gold in them there hills. I'm not sure where it was from. They said on the eBay listing, but oh, I got more crap in my crap in here. Okay, let's start clean. So I'm actually going to back this up just a little bit. Sorry about that, because this does get relatively tall, so we're going to get to see how this works. So this is the battery pack, and this has a little built-in on-off switch, and that fits right there. So it's built in. I don't have to have a separate switch anywhere, and this runs off of 4 AA batteries. Now you can do standard alkaline or you can do the rechargeable. These have a capacity of 1350 milliamp each. So these will run quite a long time on these super low power 6 volt 120 liter per hour micro pumps. Things are crazy. They're awesome. I love these. So, battery pack. This whole thing was designed around, well, I mean, the battery pack section was designed specifically around this guy. Now, you could put a screw in, and they do have a screw. Sorry, I need to be in the light here. They have a screw right there that if you take that out, come on, and put it in right here, it'll hold this thing together. I don't really see a need for that, but this basically drops in right like that, and it has almost no play in it whatsoever. That was intentional. And as for the switch, it's meant to be a little bit harder to turn on so it's not accidental, but with this little cutaway 45-degree angle lip, it's easy to turn it off in case something happens. There is a slot right here that goes all the way down and has a hole in it. This is actually to drain water in case water gets in. What that is for when all the wiring is soldered together and everything, all of that will tuck down into that cavity and be out of the way. So if any water manages to get in, it can get out and it doesn't flood and short circuit anything. That was intentional. There's a spare storage slot, which is right here. I keep checking over here to see if you've typed anything. So, I printed off a little lid here, which has a bit of a bevel to it. And this is a spare slot. So you literally put him in, and he fits in like that. Won't come out, at least not easily. Like that. And the spare slot is meant to hold a few things. It can hold a rubber insert, which would be a riffle mat, which would go in here in the tray and sit in, and there's a little bottom lip here to keep it from sliding off the end. So if you take it out, what you would need to do to clean it, obviously, to clean out anything you catch, you can roll it up and you can stick it down in there. And it also has holes so that it can drain and vent so that nothing gets moldy or mildew or builds up with water or anything in that section either. The only one of these that doesn't have a hole is the battery slot. There's nothing there, which is fine. I don't really think it needs it, and I'd rather not have one there, because if you set this in water or in mud or something, water doesn't come up into the battery compartment. So that's kind of intentional there. Let's go ahead and move into this guy. Now this, see if you can see, is portable sluice box. I could probably print this a little bit better, but whatever. 30, 20, and 10. And obviously created by Midnight Ninja here. And this is a really thin, yes, he is crazy thin, but he is stable. These are degree angles for the sluice tray of how it will sit, because that may depend on your water flow, the type of material you're putting in, something like that. Why is this sticky? Oh, whatever. So this, you'll see the little slots right here. This guy, with his, it doesn't matter if you put him in this way or you put him in this way. I put it so that the text is on the outside. Literally just goes in here, like that. And that's what it is. Slides right in, all the way to the bottom, pretty much. So it gives you an idea how far down it goes. I did that for stability. So now, I have this. So there is your vertical adjustment angle. What? I'm going to slowly start assembling this so you can see it going together. I'm going to hold off on the next piece. I'm going to show you this. This is the battery compartment cover piece. And you'll notice this really strange, odd-angled cutout thing here. Remember, all of these pieces were designed to print without supports. So the shape of this being triangular like that on the top, or doing it so you can see it in the light, is fully intentional. That was so it would print this way and not have any support material to remove, and it wouldn't sag, a bunch of reasons. This goes in here, and that little cutout is where the wires come over the top of the battery pack, and now allows it to come over to the outside and then meet up with this, because it's not directly in line. And that allows it to shut, and even says power right on the side. Oh, sounds like I just sold something. Another Nintendo Switch mod, perhaps. Yep, sold another one. And another one. Alrighty then. Looks like I need to print some more. Anyway, so these are the battery and spare compartment covers. Like I said, electric goes in there. This is your angle adjustment. Then we have these little teeth right here. And those are for the slide. So the slide is basically the width of this section, with, I think I made like 1.2 millimeters of slop to be able to move side to side, just for tolerance purposes. I could have made it a whole lot tighter than that, but I decided not to. So basically this has a, I guess a slot or a hole or something up here that hooks into these guys. So at a 10-degree angle, you put them on right here in the back, and that drops like that. Now that is a 10-degree angle. So what you would do now is you would take your water block and you would drop your water block on like that, and then you would drop in a tray. Specifically designed so that coming out the back, the hoses don't get caught or mangled onto any of the other beams. So I specifically made them in 10, 20, and 30. I figured 30 was probably plenty. Now, obviously, as you know, if you lift this up, this back piece slides this way. So there's that, and I see you got a bigger gap. And I have an even bigger gap. Thing is, yes, I know this moves a little bit, so if you move him just too much, he drops in. But you gotta be putting a fair amount of force on this here. So basically, you should be safe, like that, and I believe it has about 3/8 of an inch that it can go back before it actually comes off of those feet. I'm not going to reprint the box just for that, but it is something to keep in mind. So you do have a little bit of room to work with. Now that's on a pretty steep 30-degree angle. And I'll show you 30 degrees here. That should be probably more than you want for your water flow, but that all depends on the mat you have. Here is a 3D printed riffle mat out of that Workday PLA that I was talking about. This stuff, like I said, the same stuff that these crazy fingers were printed in, is amazing stuff. It is extremely durable and prints really, really well. Now I do want this to be completely smooth, so I'm testing out this XTC-3D with the intention of putting it on this. Now I do know that this has very small lips on it. Inside each of these little pieces here, underneath this little lip, is actually, looks kind of like a fin. It goes up, so it does kind of this. It goes up, and then has a circular part that comes down and then meets the ribbing. So it creates like an undertow, kind of, which is where the gold will stick. So the gold will stick here, a little bit in these parts, which are just little triangular raised pieces. Under here, 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 here. And this bump here are much more steep than these that just kind of run off. And that's meant to slow water flow down and keep any gold that might have been chased off of these and get caught up here before it actually ends up over the edge to trap as much as possible. So I did have to modify the design a little bit, so you can tell a little bit going down the side there. This sits in here like this, and here's where I need to do a little adjustment. That's all right. There is this lip right here down to this lip, so you put it down at the bottom here, and then this part just kind of snaps in by force, sort of. Then this guy, you'll take the water block, you put them on, and then you have to get them ahead of this little lip right here, like that. Now it's not glorious, unfortunately, but it does work, and you'll notice that you can still see the outlets here, and they're not blocked whatsoever. So you put your material here, you spoon feed it or whatever onto this platform, the water will shed down, it'll go over the mats and separate and riffle out, and then come over the edge here as it slows down, and then fall down into the box. So the setup would look at 30 degrees like that, and that allows you to put your stuff here, and it will run down into a catch bin that I have yet to design around the final parts. That will sit here to catch the excess material that you can then put in a bag if you'd like to hand pan it or try it again, go through it a second time, whatever. This is not going to get you rich, by the way. This is really just here so that you can learn how the process works. If you have a bag of pay dirt like I do, hand panning is still recommended, but you don't need to do quite as much of it because of this. So for little hobbyists, this is kind of a cool setup, but we're not done. So you've seen all that. Scotch-Brite pads. These things are necessary for this because the excess that you have coming down into here then fills with this water, comes over through here and into the pumps. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these out so we can show you what's going on a little bit better. So everything would come down into here, mix with the rest of the water in here, pass through, and then meet up with the pumps. I don't want it getting into the pumps and damaging a pump, so I put in a filter. Now you wouldn't think that this would work very well, but it actually works very well. Yes, it shows quite a bit through it, will allow sufficient water flow, and this, if cut to size out of a standard sheet, you get 2 of these with some odd fractional piece left over. Unfortunately, I didn't design it quite so that you could get 3 equal pieces. I'm sorry about that. But this particular one is the non-scratch version. I guess it really doesn't matter. But basically this goes in here and fits down all the way to the bottom just like that. So it'll filter anything coming through, so anything that ends up in this side should all be clear. The spare storage I was talking about, here's the second one. The spare storage, you can simply collapse one up, stick it in your spare storage, close it up. Now you have another one in case this one gets so clogged that it no longer functions properly. You could do that. So, let's see, pumps. And I think I might have lost you. Give me just a second, I get a drink anyway. So, the pumps here fit into these 3 slots here. And they literally just go in like that. And they will go on even with the hose attached. I made these openings here specifically for it. So let's go ahead and pop in all 3 real quick. This one already has some hose attached to it, so you get to see how that works. Just right on in, like that. Now, of course, minus the wiring, which I need to clean up, but this is just to show you. There's the 3 pumps, and they all face out this way. So this hose, let me show you a complete hookup here. When I bought my 3rd pump, they sent me much more flexible material. This stuff is stupid stiff, and I really don't like it. So I might have to work with this stuff instead. Hopefully I can make it work with the water block, but that's for another time. So let's hook everything up, including the water block, and I will show you right here. Let's go ahead and feed this through on the 30-degree angle. That just pushes into the back of that. Obviously the pump wires would all end up inside of this piece in here, like I told you before. Okay, and that sits down. So just imagine this stuff is actually already tucked away. I'm just going to put it in here to make it look clean for right this second, just for this video. All right. Oh, good, you are still there. So here we are. This is what is essentially a complete sluice kit piece. Everything that's here will work. The only thing I have not printed, like I said, is the debris catch box thing here on the end, and a lid that I was originally going to design to be a classifier, but I don't think that's going to be what I'm going to end up doing with it. I'm just going to make it a solid lid and call it a day. It'll take a lot less time to print too. But So a lid will go over it, and then I guess you could set it underneath or off to the side, or whatever you want to do with it. But this is a complete unit. Obviously, this block only has 2 holes. I have a design that has 3 that'll take advantage of all 3 pumps. This block has 2, so you'd only be using 2. And the pump that you don't need, since they'll be hooked up and soldered together, would just end up pull the hose off of it and let it just circulate itself into this area in here, and you don't need to worry about disconnecting it or anything. So you can use it as either 2 or 3. I would say probably 3, because I think 2 is not going to be enough water flow. So that was the idea, was you could use it for 3 or 2, whatever. And it does also pack up very, very nicely. Unfortunately, this particular tray is not the right size. I had to, let me see if I can show you here. So let me pop this out, pop that out. Okay, so this end right here is actually 1 millimeter too wide this way. I had to shrink it back 1 millimeter this way and move this little lip back a little bit as well, so that it would fit, and I'll show you what I mean. I've done a lot of testing with this thing, believe me. Let me get this pump out of here, because this hose is going to get in my way. Okay. So, with this, parts will fit in it, but I wanted them to be able to fit down, flat, like this, but then you get that. It doesn't go all the way down, because it's the wrong length. One of these crappy ones that I printed that I told you was garbage because of how it looked and all that, is actually the right dimension. It just didn't print with a surface quality that I thought was acceptable. But I can show you this for an example of how it does go in. So when this goes in, all the way down, sits completely flat with very little movement. It's in there. That's cool. So everything that would pack up, let's say we have another one. You can print off any number of these. I meant that to be modular, so you can either use the printed one, you can use a rubber mat, you can design your own, whatever. But this, doesn't matter which way you put it in here. That just goes down in there like you would put it in the tray for real. Water modules, you can either put them in here with this tray, or you can put them over in this side. If you have more than one or something, you can just kind of stick them all in that side, and they're not tall enough to go past, so you can put them vertically. You can put in 4 or 5 of them if you want, if you come up with a new design, something like that. They'll all fit in there. But the idea is that the pumps and their hoses and everything, if I use the softer hose, of course, will all fit in this cavity in here. So that I have to consider. But the other great thing, let me... Dang you, come on. Okay, so we'll set him aside. Is this guy goes in first. So I told you that he sits in here. Sorry. So he sits there like that, which means he's the exact width of the base. And he simply sits in like that. Completely flat. Then you would dump in this guy. Then you would dump in, say, a water block. And look at this. I still have a lot of room left in here. You could lay in a riffle mat on top of that. You don't have to put it in the spare. You could have a couple of these trays. Extra water blocks. You could actually disconnect all of the hose and put it in here and not have to kink it up quite so bad. You could do that. Anything you want, you could put it all in there. If you have a collapsible, maybe like this, take some screen with you for classification. Just kind of fold it up, stick it right in, just like that. And then when you're ready, put the lid on everything and I would take a piece of Velcro and go around, since I don't have any way to make it like a clip-on type lid. But just throw some Velcro or a rubber band around it and walk away. You're done. That's it. Completely collapsible. You can pick it up with one hand, take it with you. That's the idea. Oh, we have a viewer. We have a third. Oh my gosh. Oh, gotta hide the goods. See ya. No, I'm totally kidding. But the battery on my laptop's here is about dead, so I won't be able to view comments or anything anymore. But that is pretty much it for right now. Stay tuned for this here in the, I'd say, I don't know, next week and a half. I do plan on having this done before my Michigan trip. I'm actually going to take it with me and test it out in the field. So I'm going to take the camera, I'm going to get some good video of this thing running out in the wild, doing its thing for real, not just here with a bag of pay dirt, but we're going to see what I can actually drum up with it, and find out how good it actually is. Hopefully it works pretty well, you know what I mean? So, before I end this stream here, let's have a look at some of these parts and see how they're doing. So this actually looks pretty good. Especially on the back of this hand. It really does seem to have filled in very, very well. It doesn't really remove any of the detail, especially like around the fingernail and stuff like that. It seems to have worked very, very, very well. I like that. I do need to work on my technique, obviously. Could be better. Look at the top of this, which I know I did afterwards, so this won't be quite as nice. That would be unacceptable, but apparently you can sand this stuff, so take 1000 grit sandpaper or something and polish that down, make it look shiny. Sure, I think this come out really well, and then I could probably even coat it again after that. But all saved for another time. Let's get... stuff sticky. Yeah, it's really sticky. So it looks like the layer on this was so thin between the pieces that it actually almost soaked in. It almost looks dry in most, and I know I went over this with several coats, so this would probably need a second coat to actually look flat, which is interesting to know. Let's have a look at this guy. Let's get him in the light. Ugh, sticky. Is it coming through the... Okay. Actually, you know what? That's... that's not bad. Not as good as I was hoping, but for a first attempt, that's